What's up, guys? It's Keenan Joseph Compon. It's currently 9:45 a.m., Thursday, November 6th. Just finished getting back from the gym. I hit push. Felt like shit, but I still went anyways. I woke up, my sinuses were just dry, my throat, like I could feel every breath, like knives on my throat. But I still got up, 4:25 a.m. I do that every single day, 7 days a week, no exceptions. That was really what started all this. Is I started getting up at 4:45 a.m., moved it down to even 4 a.m., and then I found 4:25 a.m. is really that sweet spot. Gives me 5 minutes to do the initial things I got to do, like make my bed, just set up my light therapy and stuff, and then it gives me 30 minutes to do my light therapy, and then go over what I planned the night before, and really set myself up for success in my day, and elevate my mindset so I can consistently, enter each day just ready to work. And a huge part of that is spending time planning it the night before and knowing exactly what I'm going to do, because that's really where, weakness operates. That's really where the devil operates, in this sort of gray area where you don't know what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? And that's when you start scrolling on reels and drifting from what you should be doing. So planning the night before is a huge part of that, but 4:25 a.m. is just a sweet spot for me. So woke up, knew exactly what I had to do. Submitted. I have like there's online tests in school here where you can, I'm in university. So they give you a 24-hour period to do a test online, submit it. So I did that, submitted it. After that, I did an optimization assignment, finished that, submitted it. Had 3 eggs, potatoes, banana, raw honey, and coffee. Just went to the gym, and now I'm here. And at the gym, the last few days at the gym, I've been thinking back to 2 years ago. 2 years ago at the same residence, because I've lived here my entire undergrad. And at this residence, there was this guy from Africa. It was Nigeria. And he was studying engineering. He actually lived here 3 years ago, but we never talked. He was a few doors down from me, but we never talked because that was just like the lowest period in my life. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was doom scrolling all day. I was literally in my bed on my phone all day. I had one term, I had 5 courses, I dropped 4 of them, and I got 70 something on that other one. The term after that, 5 courses, dropped one, exactly 50 on 3 of them, and then 63 on the other one. Just scraping by. Despite the fact I had these ambitions and I really liked entrepreneurship, I fell so far down. I gained a ton of weight. I was getting drunk all the time. I was eating poorly. I was going out to eat. I spent so much money going out to, eat fast food. And I was consuming motivational content, but it was more like I was getting off to the thought of taking action. Like I would succumb and then I'd listen to a motivational video. And, that'd be fleeting. And then I'd just be right back to where I was, each day. I'd even consume educational content thinking that I was learning, but I wasn't even applying it. It was just that same thing where you're just consuming, to distract yourself, just like anything else. So that was like a really dark period of time, but the year after that was when I started getting up at 4:45 a.m. and then, 4:25 a.m. later. I started getting up early. I was taking cold showers every single morning. And I started going to breakfast right when it opened up. And this African guy, when I say African, like he was from Africa, he, every single morning we would eat together, or most mornings, when he would be there, which is basically every morning. But he had a weird co-op job where sometimes he'd have to, help salt the street or something, like operate a machine for that. So sometimes he wouldn't be there. But we'd eat and we'd talk about self-improvement and entrepreneurship. And he was telling me that everyone in his hometown had that entrepreneurial spirit. Because I brought up the book Think and Grow Rich to him, which is a really foundational self-improvement book I highly recommend you read. It was huge for me. That's around the time I was reading it, so I brought it up to him. And he said, Oh, I've read that book so many times. My dad's read it so many times. Everyone I know in my hometown's read it. And he was telling me about his hustles that he did when he was younger, his entrepreneurial hustles. Um, and I don't know everything about him, and I don't keep in contact with him. But from what I can see right now, and from what I saw at the time, he really mellowed out once he got here in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit and working really hard and having these crazy ambitions that you're constantly focused on. And it sort of reminded me of when I was in high school and I was sort of coasting, I was drifting. I'd always play video games. I lived with my grandparents, so I was never even exposed in my entire childhood to anyone doing work. I never even saw anyone work in my family life. I'd always play video games. I mean, they were great. I love my family, but I wasn't even exposed to it. And I never even had that yearning for more, really. Because I had the computer, I had the monitor, I had the keyboard, I had the mouse, I had the headphones, I had all the nice stuff I needed. I got any game I wanted, and I'd just do that all day. And then once I got to university and I had complete control and agency, I just, my life spiraled so like horribly, And I saw it was like a similar thing where the difference between survival and thrival, where in the survival state, like he was sort of in Africa, and he was saying that he owned like farm animals. He worked on a farm, and like it was just manufactured in everyone there that yearning for more, like the entrepreneurial spirit, the American dream. And then here, I was kind of complacent, but I did have some pressure to actually do well in high school. And I had a friend who kind of held me accountable, so I did well. But when we were left to our own devices, we mellowed out. I crumbled, and it's if a homeless guy walked up to you with a knife, or someone threw a grenade next to you, you wouldn't even have to think about anything else other than running. It would be so easy. But if I asked you right now, get up from your seat and go run, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm kind of comfortable. Why would I run right now? Because that's the survival state. Whereas the thrival one is when, even though you're left to your own devices and you don't have to do anything, even though I had a $28 an hour job and I honestly wasn't even, I had a remote job that paid pretty well. I could keep coasting, get online jobs. But the reason I push myself so hard every single day and I work to, I have these crazy ambitions that consume my mind and I'm thinking about this stuff 24/7. I mean, it all has to do with a sense of self. Like, why is it the case? Why is it the case that people who have millions and millions and millions of dollars and who are jacked and don't have to even put that much effort in to maintain their current body composition, and they can just go to the club every night and get fucked up, have sex with anyone they want, and still be fine because the money they have alone, the interest on it is just like infinite, right? So they can just do whatever they want all the time. It's these people who have the most discipline when and are the most motivated, I guess you could say. But people who are broke, who my past self, maybe you're in this situation right now and you're watching self-improvement content. You may not have a business, you may not be where you want to be physically, financially, all these things. It's these people who need motivation. The people who have nothing to lose and everything to gain. These are the people who are constantly trying to get motivated. It all has to do with a sense of self. And for me, what it really felt like, and like I said, I see this in so many of you guys. Like, I was even getting DMs from people, and I've talked to a few people about it, like when I was making self-improvement content a while ago. I see this with so many of you guys where it's just all about the what, the what. I'm just this person trying to do things. When in reality, the things are a symptom. It's like a program. Actually, I thought about this in the gym a couple days ago, this analogy. It's like a computer program. You have code written out, and you change the variables where it's like, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym and get ahead on school, right? Run. Output, jerked off. Okay, that's totally fine. We'll just change it. Tomorrow I'll start a business and I'll work out. I'll try calisthenics. Okay, run. Doom scroll, binge eat is the output. Okay, well, I'll just try it again. I'll just consume more content. It's like the code, no matter how many times you run it, it's going to give you the same results. You have to change the program itself. You have to rewire the way your brain functions. Because the output of that code and what you do is a symptom of who you are, or the way the code's programmed. So for me, when I would think about this stuff, it's like I was separating myself from the work. It's like I would always talk about the work, but I wouldn't actually envision who I would have to become. And just, that you literally have to become unrecognizable to achieve these things. For in my own life, it's like I would always think if I do a bit of work every single day, if I just work for a few hours every day, I'll get so ahead, and then I just have to work for a few hours every single day, and I'll constantly be on top of work. But the person that would do that, the person that would work, even though there's not that much external pressure, the person who pushes themselves, I wasn't living in congruence with that person. If you were the person who would have the things you'd want, you would already have them. So instead of focusing on the what, like focusing on, should I have caffeine? Should I do an intense form of cardio? What kind of cardio is optimal? Well, how should I train? Instead of like hyper fixating on this stuff, you think about what you would want. And then you imagine the man you would have to become in order to achieve those things. And then you constantly work to live in congruence with that person. And people think, the big problem is people think they can get away with things. This is something I see so often. I got up super early, so this is something I felt a lot. But so many people say, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. Some of you guys may have done this. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow, 5 a.m., right? I'm going to wake up at really early tomorrow. You wake up and you think, oh, I slept so bad. I mean, if I stay up, I'm just going to be so unproductive all day because I'm going to be so tired. I won't be able to focus. So I should just go back to bed. You set an alarm 45, 50 minutes from now, go back to bed. And then when you do that, you are slipping into your past identity. Like the chains of identity are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. When you do that and you tell your subconscious and you literally reinstill in your mind that you don't do what you say you're going to do and that you choose comfort, you let how you feel dictate your actions. The chains that you're putting on of your past self are too light to feel because you're telling yourself that it's okay, I'll be so unproductive. But then you start to doom scroll. And then throughout your day, you're less productive. And then you start sleeping in more and more. And then you forget about even waking up early. And then right when you realize how far you've gone, right when you jerk off, or right when you do something horrific, like doom scroll for 4 hours, and you realize, that you're in chains, they're too heavy to be broken. And you're right back to that past version of yourself. If you studied any hyper successful guys, they would be pretty confident that they would get where they want to go when they didn't really have any reason to be, right? Like an irrational self-belief. Like if you were to say right now, say out loud right now, I'm going to be jacked. I am going to be, and then insert like a really, high level goal you want. And you feel icky when you say it. You feel like yucky, right? Like before I would say, I'm a bodybuilder. Even saying I'm a bodybuilder, I'd go like, what the fuck? Or like, I'm going to be a 50K a month entrepreneur. When you say I want my dream car, you're basically saying a future version of me that doesn't exist, that I'm not right now, is going to have this thing that I don't own. Which is basically just telling your subconscious, I'm not who I need to be, and I don't have what I want. Always just focus on the symptoms, always just obsessing. Like, if you just let yourself get pulled around by these desires, and you let yourself, like the perception of others or progress, you're just going to be a feather in the wind of circumstance and of what other people think. Whereas when you start living in congruence with that person, everything's in your control. All the inputs that you put in are completely within your control. And the goal for me, the biggest thing for me was just set it and forget it. Because I set the goal. I know who I have to become. I constantly think about that person and live in congruence with that person and reaffirm that I'm adopting those traits. And then I don't even have to think about the goal. I know I'm going to get there. It's not like I want this thing. I know I'm going to get that thing. It's just like a matter of fact, because I'm living congruence with the person who it would be unreasonable, it would be impossible for this person not to get that. But so many of you guys just want to, it's almost like a lack of accountability. It's almost like so many, like You are probably in this situation. I want you to truly reflect if this is you, where when you think about what you need to do, you search up. Like you instantly go to Google, like what's the best way to do this? How should I do that? Motivational video. It's like you constantly externalize your focus so you don't take actual accountability. That all these things are a reflection of you. The reason you can't focus when you work is a reflection that like you don't think it's a big deal to doom scroll. You don't take true accountability for that. And you scatter your mind, like you wake up, you spike your dopamine, you literally consume like hundreds of pieces of content within the span of 20 to 30 minutes by just swiping super fast. And you're like, why do I have brain fog? Why are my thoughts scattered? It's self-brought. And instead of detaching yourself from these things and saying, I'm a person trying to do these things, just say, I'm trying to be unrecognizable. You are adopting a new identity. And it requires so much sacrifice on such a more deep and personal and emotional level. For me to constantly be head on work and constantly, do these things when there's no pressure and really no reason, like logically, that I have to do it, but it's just who I am. And when you focus all your attention on like, I'm fighting to do this thing, I want this thing, I'm trying to do this thing, your identity, no matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish, your identity is always going to be, I am not good enough and I don't have what I want. When in reality, that true conviction, that true thing, and you really, I recommend if you had motivational content that resonated with you before, go back and watch it with what I'm telling you. The people who are hyper successful, and I've studied quite a lot of them just to like understand, because it's a system, it's a process. If you do X, you will achieve Y. It is a system. It is guaranteed. That's a universal law. Where if you study them, you realize like all these people, they knew they were going to get it. I remember I was watching Andrew Tate. I know it's like, oh, funny, and he's, maybe a bit corny, but, I really kind of look up to the relationship he has with his brother. I think that's, like a friendship or brotherhood like that is something that is, truly, it's insane. And I was watching a video where, Tristan was talking about how his brother would say that, I know that we're going to have freedom of location. I don't know how we're going to make money. We're just going to be able to go wherever we want, and we're going to work. We won't have to be any specific place to work. We're just going to have a lot of money. And, I'm not saying these should be role models, but you should be able to derive value from anyone, right? You should be able to always be looking for, how does this relate to me? How can I perceive some sort of value from this? And it's just that complete confidence. Not saying I want this thing, I'm going to get this thing because I'm living in congruence with the person who I've already outlined and know will get that thing. And taking accountability. True accountability. So many people want to mimic what they hear online because, I would do this in my past content. When I was making content a year ago, I would just mimic what other people were saying because if someone attacked it, it wasn't me that they were attacking. And now I'm putting myself, my like complete raw, me out there. And if someone, attacks his video, that's me they're attacking. And you have to like take true accountability for what you do and stop hyper consuming content. Like even when I was thinking about my future self and what I would accomplish, it was the people I looked up to. I was like supplanting my vision with them. I wasn't even having my own unique thoughts. Even my future me, I was thinking about other people, And this is so deep and has provided me so much value. Even stuff like watching lifestyle content from people like Brez. Like if you play piano or you play a sport, do you watch people who are worse than you play? No. You watch soccer or baseball because you know you'll never be as good and it's entertaining to watch. So another thing is, it all stems from your identity. When you watch lifestyle content and you think, oh, I'm so motivated, let's just go off the data. Has it compelled your action? Because it didn't compel mine. It didn't make me go anywhere. And it was because it was just constantly telling myself, I won't get this, right? You wouldn't watch a day in the life of yourself video. And the most beautiful part of all this is when I started stepping into this frame and I started adopting this identity. The most beautiful part for me was when I would tell myself, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm an athlete, every day and every way I'm getting better, I'm disciplined. I adopted these traits and I started rejecting my past self. The way that you may feel right now, if you say, I'm a bodybuilder, or I'm an athlete, or I'm disciplined, the icky feeling you may have, You feel that's cognitive dissonance. That the way I felt about that when I would say those things shifted to the negative stuff that I was doing. So when I would, scroll, I would cut myself off and say, this isn't me. And like literal cognitive dissonance. Because I was constantly reaffirming. It's absolutely beautiful. You can look up this is all backed by science, the neural pathways, identity pathways in your brain, reinstilling it, your behavior being downstream from that. But really for me, it is a deeply spiritual thing. All this was set up by God for us to experience and learn. And it's all so beautiful. And and then reality aligns to it, and then reality reinforces the identity. It's all about adopting the identity, living congruence with that person. And then reality will shape to it and reinforce it for me. Like I started focusing on, I'm an athlete, I'm a bodybuilder, and just out of almost randomly, just because I started identifying as an athlete, I started adopting that frame, living in congruence with what an athlete would do. I started going swimming and doing an intense form of cardio. That was completely random. Before that, I haven't gone swimming in about 11 years. 11 years ago was the last time I actually was swimming consistently, but I just decided to do it because it makes me feel athletic. And I remember when I took off my shirt, I put on my swim trunks, I looked in the mirror and I thought, like I was getting flashbacks because I used to be chubby. I was skinny fat most of my life. And I used to be sort of the chubby kid who could do front flips and dives off the high dive and the diving board. And I was like, yo, it's like that chubby kid. And I remember I was thinking like, I just had that fleeting thought of like, am I a little chubby? First thing that happens, the first person I walk by in the locker room says, bro, you're fucking massive. I identified as a bodybuilder, as an athlete, lived in congruence with that person, and then reality reconfirms it. It reaffirms that I am that person. And it's just a constant cycle. Absolutely beautiful. This has completely changed my life. I'm just on, the tip of the iceberg though. This stuff is so much more deep. That's another important thing is not sort of saying that I've overcome this completely. Always being in that state of learning. What can I learn? And, growth. Always chasing perfection, achieving new levels of excellence. And I absolutely love that this channel is going to be a testament to all this. I'm saying it right now when I'm just starting this channel. I'm not where I want to be at all, financially, physically. I have so many goals. But what I'm saying now is what I'm going to be saying a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The things I have to do, the discipline I have to exert right now is the same discipline I'm going to be exerting a year from now, 5 years, 10 years. And I'm going to document that all here. And yeah. I got to go get lunch. Then I got to go head to class. So that's for this video. If I resonated with you, which I must have if you're still watching the video, this deep into it, which I appreciate. It means so much to me. You know so much more about me than I do about you. And I've genuine love and genuine love for you. If you watch this much of the video, I appreciate it a lot. I'm trying to form like a tight knit community of people who are constantly self improving, constantly working to elevate themselves. So, feel free to like, subscribe. If I resonate with you, you think you get some value from my other content. I have an intro video I recorded that you can watch to learn a bit more about me. I talk a bit more about this stuff in that video as well. And I'll also drop my Instagram in the description. I post stories there throughout my day, and I'm also going to be dropping more reels. So that's for this video. Yeah, let's get it.